Welcome back to Under the Surface, the show where we talk everything the Bazaar. In this episode, we look at Dooley's latest expansion, Dooltron. Take a look at what builds have been dominating the meta, what items we find the most interesting for the expansion, and how we think this pack could continue to impact the game in the future. So, let's dive under the surface. Welcome back, everybody. And with season 1 of the Bazaar, we got Mac, which was sort of the big thing this season. But they snuck in a couple of expansions, as I assume they're going to do every season. 2 expansions, one for Dooley and one for Vanessa this time around. And the Dooley one is the first one that you unlock, and it seems to be better than the Vanessa one, but it's hard to tell for sure right now. So we've been playing with that one more and have seen, I feel like 75% of the matches I play against are Dooley,
Yeah,
Dooltron.
the bugs
So
are pretty popular. But it's hard to say if Vanessa's pack is worse since less people have access to it as of now. So, I mean, depending. But yeah, this week we will probably see more and more people getting to that level 30 of the prize pass.
yeah, and I guess before we even jump into the Dooley, like talking about the Dooltron expansion, I kind of wanted to say that like it's interesting, especially with the way the season has evolved, where everybody at first started playing Mac, and then they unlocked Dooltron, and everybody moved to Dooltron. So I wonder if like the last 2 weeks are going to be everybody moving to Vanessa as they unlock the gang expansion. It'll be kind of interesting to see if every season sort of moves like that.
I mean, there's
You kinda-
definitely the novelty factor, right?
Yeah. So Dooley's Dooltron expansion, it introduced 10 items, but only 5 of them are important, if we're being kind of honest. The other items are really cool.
I would say 6 items.
Okay. You're talking about SATCOM, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which basically just gives you the other 5 items. But so, I mean, if you're listening to this, you're probably playing the Bazaar. You probably already know, but it's the bugs: black spider, blue beetle, green wasp, red firefly, yellow mantis.
I mean, you sort of like if we want to be correct and adhere to the proper positioning, that would be blue beetle, green wasp, then black spider, then red firefly, and yellow mantis. Although you can do that other way around and do like sort of convex shape instead of concave.
Yeah. And then the SATCOM, it does something about hasting. I don't remember what it is, but basically you just put that in your inventory, and then you hope you get a good friend, because it gives you a friend every day. So you just hope you get a good friend to go with them, or potentially one of them.
Yeah, SATCOM hastes it hastes friend that is to the right of it. So actually it's sometimes usable if you have nothing better to put on your board, so you can haste something. I actually used it to haste Bellelista once, so that was some sort of synergy there. But yeah, it's basically like schematics, but for another type of item. So schematics works for tech items, though it triggers on level up, while SATCOM triggers on day start, and it spawns small friends. And to be fair, like small friends from any hero, so you can do some shenanigans there as well.
Yeah, I've actually gotten one of the new Vanessa items from the SATCOM, but I've never played, but I never used it. It wasn't really usable, but
Cool.
yes, so that's interesting. And then the idea with these guys is they all do like a different thing, right? They all do a different type of like burn or poison or haste or slow or freeze, and then they get accelerated by each other, being next to each other. And then the Dooltron is supposed to be like next to them, and he gets charged by them charging each other, sort of, which is it's a cool idea and it's fun. I've played with the Dooltron like once and it worked pretty well. But I guess the thing is that the Dooltron is not the best option for these guys, or really like there's like already a bunch of items sort of with Dooley that kind of want similar things. Like Power Drill is the most obvious, I guess. But
yeah, like Dooltron is an obvious choice to complete the sort of infinity gauntlet of bugs, right? Because like Dooltron is getting charged every time you haste, slow, poison, freeze, or burn. So exactly the things that your bugs do. However, it has like this flat 1000 damage at gold and 2000 damage at diamond, unless it has been nerfed, but I don't think so. I think that's the values. And it has base cooldown of 30. So yeah, and it also charges 1 second at gold and then 2 seconds at diamond. So if you have it at diamond, you need 15 activations to, well, use it, right? So that would be 2000 damage after 15 activations of your, let's say, bugs, but you still have like 2 more slots, so you may put like Dooltron mainframe there. So then you would need like 7.5 or like 7 activations, because Dooltron charges the core, but it gives the core type to Dooltron, right? So it's accelerating Dooltron twice as fast, and also there's this Z shield and Z sword, so they like reduce the cooldowns of adjacent items. There are some things that you can do here, but in my opinion, like you said that drill is a really obvious option, and I would agree, though I really like bulldozer in that slot, like instead of Dooltron. And I think bulldozer is much better than Dooltron because it additionally has the effect of reducing the cooldown on all of your other friends. And look at that, the bugs are friends. So with 30% cooldown at diamond with bulldozer, your bugs without any other, additional cooldown reduction are reduced to 4.2 seconds. So yeah, if you add our favorite DJ Robot, because like we have to be honest here, like DJ Robot has been running the Dooley, like I'm not even sure how to put it, but like it has been running the show since like the last patch or something. It's always an obvious pick on Dooley. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, which of the bugs is your favorite? Like, based on the art, based on the effect?
So, I mean, we need to talk about the blue beetle in the room here, because there's one that's obviously the best item. Like having the freeze, especially like with the bulldozer, which you just mentioned, can, I don't think it's quite perma-freeze with just the bulldozer in it, but it's getting very close depending on how many items your enemy has, right? At diamond. So I mean, I want to say the blue beetle just for that, but I think I'm gonna go with Black Spider. I like the slow. I like that he's in the middle. He feels like he's in charge,
Yeah, like that's like Avengers Assemble type of deal, or let's say Power Rangers if you are a bit older. But
which one's yours?
Like I'm old enough to like go for Power Rangers here. To be fair, I'm not really into Avengers at all. Like Marvel is not my type of stuff. But besides, like I would agree that Blue Beetle is really cool, and also blue is like my favorite color. But I feel like Red Firefly has something as well. Like I don't know. Like I enjoy the sort of presentation here. Like the fact that all these bugs are sort of like mechanical is really cool theme for them, I suppose. And also like if I were to, go back to this comparison to Power Rangers, like if all the bugs are, well, all the different Rangers, right? And I think that those colors are exactly the colors of Rangers from the first series, then we could also imagine Dooltron as the Megazord. What was it called? Megazord, I think?
I don't remember, but I knew exactly where you were going with that.
This giant robot that they sort of assembled from the various vehicles. So, I would assume that there was some inspiration taken there, And also, like, Reynard and probably Tempo Team are at the similar age as we are, so they could have seen Power Rangers where they were younger.
Yeah, it seems sort of obvious now that you say it and looking at the colors. And then the Dooltron, I mean, literally, it has all the colors from these guys like on it. Like that's kind of the idea. So I don't know. The theming of this season or of this specific pack is really good. Like it's probably my favorite of all the set of items they've put out, I guess, which is like 4.
Yeah.
But still.
Like the only thing missing is a giant head instead of this I don't know, command center in Dooltron mainframe artwork, That would be really silly.
Well, and I really just like the Z shield and Z sword too. Like, and they're on the Dooltron's back, and they're really just cool looking items. Even if I've never really used them, like I still they have a place in my heart, and I can't wait until they're probably the bugs are nerfed so that they can be usable.
Yeah, the artworks are impeccable. But I'm glad that you brought this up. So I also feel like Z Shield and Z Sword are underpowered, and I'm not really sure where I could use them. because let's analyze what they do here. Z-Shield obviously gives you shield, but also freezes items. It exactly freezes one item for 1 to 3 seconds based on its level, like based on its tier, and also adjacent items have their cooldown reduced by 10, 15, 20%, and also it has +1 multicast if you have a large item. And similarly, Z-Sword has like damage scaling, and instead of freezing it burns, and also reduces cooldowns, also has multicast when you have a large item. So without a large item, and also both have a cooldown of 8 seconds, so I think that's also relevant here. So in Bazaar, like reality, 8 seconds of cooldown is like eternity, So like without a multicast, I don't think they are usable. But if you want to have this multicast, you would need to have a large item. And I'm not really sure what large item I would, use with them besides Dooltron. Because, the sword burns, so, maybe Solar Farm could be used. But if you want to use Solar Farm, then there are much better, items that could accelerate Solar Farm, and Z-Shield has freezing, but there are no like freezing based things like large items for Dooley. I don't think so, but we could sort of maybe take Bunker there to add another multicast to Z-Shield, and maybe that's the play, because at Diamond then you would freeze 3 items for 3 seconds. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's like one time I got Z Sword from get the docks or something. I can't remember. I just randomly got it and I was like, oh, okay, like I want to try to use this. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, where the heck is this ever applicable besides in like the perfect like Dooltron build sort of thing, And even then, it's just you kind of just want the bugs instead. But I think an issue I sort of see with this whole thing, and the bugs kind of get away from it because they're not focused on just the Dooltron necessarily. They just kind of enable it. But like the mainframe and the Z Shield and Z Sword sort of feel like they're built only for the Dooltron. And then, if you find another purpose for them, great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Another thing that I would like to point out is
okay,
you want your bugs to be assembled in a line, right? Your 5 bugs next to each other. So, and then let's say you put Dooltron also on the board, so either to the right or to the left. So if it were to be placed to the right of your bugs, then Dooltron would be next to Yellow Mantis, right? So let's say you would put Z-Sword in between Yellow Mantis and Dooltron. That would make sense because Z-Sword burns and Yellow Mantis cares for the burn. And also it would, reduce the cooldown on Dooltron and Yellow Mantis. Mostly you care about the cooldown reaction on Dooltron. Yellow Mantis is just a cool upside. However, if you were to put Dooltron to the left of the board, then it would be next to the Blue Beetle, like in regular assembly of bugs, right? So let's say you want to put Z-Shield next to, in between Blue Beetle and Dooltron. But Blue Beetle cares about poison, so this freezing effect doesn't accelerate it further. So freezing is nice, but at the same time, there's either flavor lost or utility lost. And I'm not sure which actually is real in this case.
Yeah, I also sort of feel like, I guess it's just the meta we're in right now, but Yellow Mantis is like sort of the worst of the bugs in my opinion, because the hasting sort of becomes unnecessary when you because you're usually trying to find like DJ Robot, you know what I mean, or something to do the hasting for you. So
unless you care about hasting procs like Drill, or there's this skill that grants you critical chance every time you haste, so then Yellow Mantis is sort of an engine to accelerate that. And also Yellow Mantis is, I think that the proper usage here is that you do not need to have DJ Robot to actually use the bugs, because maybe you want to use I think the most obvious actually item with them, which is Robotics Factory, to give them all multicast, right? So in that situation, you do not necessarily need to run DJ Robot as well, because then Yellow Mantis would trigger twice, and I think at that point it would give enough haste to all of your items. And then you can run Drill you know.
Yeah, robotics factory with these things is like nasty. Like it's like you feel disgusting when you pick that thing up with it. But man, like especially if you get robotics factory like enchanted with something, oh, it's just over. It's just over. How do you feel though about going back to like sort of they're all the items in this pack are sort of designed around the Dooltron, especially like Dooltron mainframe, and they feel very specific to it. Like I was thinking before we got on, like how is that going to look in a year or so or something? Whenever there's a ton of Dooley items, and you know what I mean, when it's hard to find the other piece. Like yeah, they have like Dooltron mainframe has uses outside of Dooltron, but it feels very like part of a two piece. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know, something like I kind of like it, but I also feel like that might not be great 2 years down the road or something.
Yeah,
Um,
Dooltron mainframe is really narrow in terms of its usage. So, I mean, to be fair, its proper text says when you use a friend, charge the core 1 or 2 seconds based on its tier, and haste a large item 1 or 2 seconds based on its tier. And additionally, it gives your Dooltron core type. But to be fair, like you could run like friend core or any other core and just run friends with it and probably some large item as well and try to assemble that build like something that's not necessarily tied to Dooltron itself, though you are sort of sacrificing 2 slots to give your core acceleration and also like a large item acceleration. But if you put a large item on your board as well, then you have 5 slots taken. So then we can assume that you fill those 5 remaining slots with friends, not necessarily bugs, but like some friends. So there is a use case here, but I think that was the main idea. Like this whole package is like a build waiting to happen, and we can just try to find it during our runs. But yeah, I agree with you. With more and more items added to the Dooley's pool, it will be harder and harder to assemble this Power Rangers bug collective.
well, like and with like the Vanessa, the other packs we've seen, especially like with the other Vanessa pack and the other Pygmalion pack, they felt like they synergized, but they weren't like they didn't need each other. You know what I mean? But yeah, the Dualtron can be used out. Mainframe can be used outside of Dualtron, and maybe they'll add another Dualtron item in the future that it could pair with too. It's a possibility, but yeah,
I would like to point out one thing because I found a usage for usage is that a word? I think it is.
yeah.
I found a usage for Red Firefly in a build that's not friend based, and it was actually my only friend on my board at that time. If I'm not mistaken, I can double check probably. Doesn't matter. We can look at that later on. But yeah, you see, you can make a burn based drill build, or not necessarily drill build, but like burn based build, and Red Firefly really likes to be put next to the solar farm because they accelerate each other.
Oh,
Yeah. So in that
I'm just
situation, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm so like narrow minded on the bug builds right now that I haven't even like tried anything else. But yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
See, so in that situation, you do not need any other bugs, and only Red Firefly can be like helpful in that situation. And also, like, if you were to have something else that gives haste, then you could put it on the other side of Red Firefly, and then you'd probably get it to trigger even faster, right? So it would accelerate faster and faster. And I think like other bugs could also be used in builds not necessarily for Dooley. So let's say Black Spider slows a lot of items, and I think that if you were to get it as Vanessa, you could easily put it in a Lighthouse build because it cares about burning, and Lighthouse, surprise surprise, burns.
Yeah, I think in the future, I thought about this a lot, but I really haven't played anybody besides Dooley since I unlocked this pack. But I feel like these items, when you see them on a non-Dooley board, it's just over. If the person like remotely knew what they were doing, because they're so strong outside of him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying. So
And
yeah,
also, I think Blue Beetle would be really useful in the Mac because like when adjacent items poison charge this, and a lot of Mac items poison, let's say black ice, I think that would be cool because
Ooh.
whenever you freeze, you poison, and then when you poison, freeze and all that,
Yeah, that would go crazy in a Mac freeze build.
So yeah,
Uh,
if you're lucky enough, I think you can take only one bug with you and make it your best friend. You do not need to, muddle the waters and be friends with many bugs. You can have only one.
But they need friends. They need more friends.
I have one more thing to add because
Okay.
I mentioned the schematics earlier, right? And the schematics give you tech. And SATCOM, Z-Shield, and Z-Sword are tech items. And also Dooltron mainframe is a tech item. So all those items entered the pool from which you can, pull like with schematics, right? So SATCOM is definitely a cool thing to pull from schematics, but Dooltron mainframe, Z-Shield, and Z-Sword, I think dilute the good pulls. I'm not sure what's your opinion.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, Satcom you obviously want, but yeah, the other items are not desirable in a lot of cases. But I guess that's really the thing I like about adding new items is that these pools will get super diluted, and like we have the new merchant that does toys from any hero, and I'm excited to see in the future when we get more merchants that do stuff from any hero. But the pools are just too narrow right now, I think, to do it. But I like that. Like, I like that it makes it worse. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, it definitely. I mean, I wouldn't say that I like it that it makes it worse, but like having a broader range of items to pull from is probably better for the game in the long run. However, now that I think of it, like your schematics generate items, and SATCOM would also possibly generate items. So, like, you would need to devote 4 slots in your chest to those items that generate other items, and then you would need to have enough space for them to generate. So, like, that could be an overkill in some situations. Maybe for like day or two you could keep SATCOM, but like I think you would need to decide on one or the other for the rest of your run because you would probably feel overwhelmed at some point.
Yeah, and also thank God you can transform the core if you're not using it, because if you weren't using your core, then you just have another 2 slots taken up with something.
Yeah, there's
yeah,
a lot of implications, a lot of use cases for the friend package, and I think there are builds that we have not yet not explored, but like discovered, and there's probably some cool dump stuff that you will see on Crip's channel in a couple of days. Because let's face it. But Retromation also has a dump ideas that work sometimes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the future of the items in this pack because they're just really cool. And also, I'm kind of sick of the bugs now, man. I love the idea of it, but I'm just starting to get over it now.
I'm a Pokemon trainer at heart, and I always collect them.
I feel like these bugs are going to be staple Dooley items for a long time to come. Like you'd have to nerf them into oblivion for them not to be useful regularly. So yeah, let us know, I guess, in the comments below how you feel about the bugs. What builds have you been building? Maybe use the Z Shield, the Z Sword. Let us know like what kind of cool things you've done with them and how we can use them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for watching. Next episode on Monday on my channel. So see you there. And yeah, bye.
See ya.
All right.